Always good to talk to Lou Gossett Jr. Always a lot of energy.
He's a great man. Great man. And he's directing now. I mean, that takes a lot of energy to still.
How old is Lou?
He's 80-something.
Look at him for.
Because I thought he might know.
Oh.
I think he's 80, early 80s.
Mayo. He's been a good friend of mine for years and years. And as I said to him in person, thank God, a loyal friend. You know, by the way, if you have friends, tell them that you love them.
Absolutely.
Life's too short, you know. Gene Woods is watching, and what does he want?
He's going to start a station in the UK. It looks like he's working with Lee.
Gene's like international.
He is. We've got Australia. We've got the UK. We've got stuff in Canada getting ready to pop off, and Hawaii. So WCOBM is really growing rapidly. I think it's because of you, though.
I gave Gene about a 50-pound leather jacket that was given to me when I was a Grand Marshal at Indy. But it's a NASCAR jacket, and given me by the owner of car number 24. You know who that is?
Dale Earnhardt? Or?
It's number 8.
Oh.
3 or 8. Anyway.
So did you announced a lot of those shows? The races?
Well, I hung around the track. I told Gene I never really did because the Daytona was on our network, but it was also on CBS, but it was also on an NBA day.
Right.
So I spent my life on that day waiting for frickin' Daytona to end.
Right.
So we get on the air. But I love the cars. I grew up in the Midwest, Houston Speedway. If anybody knows Houston Speedway, let us know. And we used to be out of town. It's one of those deals, and now it's like in town. Town is growing so much. But and then my father lived in Knoxville, Iowa, where one of the great racetracks is. Gene and I have talked about it. And I mean, never forget there was this guy named Marvin Gardens, and he ran a stock car. By the way, you can talk during this show.
Can I cut you off and interrupt?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let me tell you about my mom. She used to be
let
the girl
me
that,
finish
see?
the story about my dad.
I wanted to see how well I could get away with that.
And one time Marvin came around, turned the first turn, and it was a banked, of course, and it came up, and he went right off the track into a silo out there in the middle of Iowa. Yeah. And my dad, who was drunk most of the time, but I loved him, and he was a great dad. No violence. He just was a happy drunk.
Right.
So he said, "Let's go, Patty." So we grabbed it. We went by the concession stand. He grabbed a couple of bags. I said, "What for?" He said, "Popcorn." The car started on fire in the bin.
Oh, you're kidding me.
And there was popcorn with motor fuel on it. And we had the best time eating that stuff. That's probably what's wrong with me. What about your mom?
Well, she was one of the women that they would kiss at the end of the race, the Indianapolis 500. And so
I think I kissed her.
You might. Did you win the race? Pour the milk on your head?
No, I just walked and kissed her.
Yeah. Well,
how'd she get that job?
Well, she was in Miss California. She was like number 5 for Miss California.
Right.
And she just was doing a lot of modeling. And so that was one of her gigs. She was on record albums, all sorts of stuff.
By the way, this is segment...
Oh, you're doing the Vegas?
3. He does that so his hands look bigger. He's got really small hands. You know that?
I didn't know that. Yeah. I didn't look.
3.
So I want to ask you how you got started because I've looked up to you for a long time. I'm honored to be sitting in this chair right now. You've had a great career. I thought it was 4 Emmys. You told me it was something like your company.
Well, the shows I was on won 26, 30 Emmys.
26.
But in sports, they don't give them the talent; they give them the producers.
But it was your show.
Well, it's their show, but I hosted it. But I started out. I had a great mentor in South Dakota. Who took kids under his wing, Dr. Bill Farber, and we were called the Farber Boys. And Tom Brokaw's one, I'm one,
wow.
Tom Dassel's one, CEOs, just I'm the least successful of all of them. And anyway, so the idea was to network, and Brokaw was one. So Tom, when I graduated from South Dakota, I went to Johns Hopkins School of International Studies. He got me a job at NBC as a copy boy. Now, a copy boy was the person who rolled the copy off of machines and gave it to the talent. It was local. My first day there, I was making a phone call because it was free. They had free long distance, and that was a big deal back then.
Oh, yeah.
Guy tapped me on the shoulder. Turned around, it was David Brinkley, who was one of the most iconic anchormen. It was Huntley, Brinkley, and Cronkite. Those were the guys. And he said, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm new here." He said, "Well, our secretary's gone, Chet's in town, and we can't answer the phones. Can you come and help?" So I did. And by day's end, I was working for Brinkley. That's how I got started.
So you need that big break in order to there's that level that.
Well, here's the thing about big breaks. That was a big break.
Yeah.
But you have to sustain it.
Right.
I mean, David did not like a lot of people. and he liked me, and one job came after another. But I mean, they always say, "Well, you were overnight success." Really?
Years, right?
There's no such thing, and you make your breaks, but also you have to keep the job.
Right.
I mean, I know a lot of people who got good jobs and didn't last it.
Right. Absolutely.
So are you of that theory that you get a break and you just make it happen?
But then the tenacity behind it. I've been here 20 years doing this. I was doing music 10 years before that. I've done over 1,000 projects, 150 on IMDb, and I still haven't had that big break. It was going to be with Gary Marshall, and we lost that wonderful person just recently.
Yeah.
And that was my big break. So,
I mean, this Gary Marshall?
The Gary Marshall, yes, the director, writer, producer. So, we're mourning a loss of a great man, but a lot happens when somebody like that leaves the planet. And so,
Well, you got to keep moving.
we're gonna hopefully still make that project. We're working really hard to make it happen. Do you do cameos? Do you do acting?
I get that mailbox money all the time.
Yep.
The checks from
The residuals. Yep.
Some of them are 2 cents.
Oh, those are your acting days.
Some are 6 cents. The biggest check I get in a month is I did a lot of Everybody Loves Raymond. And they had a pretty good syndication deal. I get like $36, and that's a big check. So if I get 4 of them. But mailbox money's fun. It's
And
just
Jimmy Fallon used to spoof you on SNL, right?
every night.
And so there was some stuff we were going to look at, and I'm going to go back. You guys check it out as well on the internet. And then you did Funny or Die. I mean, you've done a lot of You like comedy, it looks like.
I was good at comedy.
Yeah.
I couldn't be a stand-up comedian. Like Court McCowan is a brilliant comedian.
Right.
But I was actually pretty. By the way, this is comedy.
Because I'm
See, I
on your
made you
show.
laugh.
That's true. People sell their family down the river for a laugh. So however you can get it.
But no, I've got a pretty big resume. I played myself. Back in the day, it was easy to get me to. I was in the opening scene of Scooby-Doo 2. That's my claim to fame for kids. And then I was in The Big Fat Liar. Remember that movie? In fact, Richie Sambora and I were flying to New York on his jet with Leonardo DiCaprio, and Leo and I had to take Richie over to John Bon Jovi's house.
Was he with Heather at that time?
Yeah.
Heather Luckman?
So we had to take John over to John Bon Jovi's house where he was sleeping. So we go in the back door, and John Bon Jovi's got like a mansion, like a White House-sized mansion. So we open the door, and John goes, "Oh my God, Pat, you're here. Come in. You're not gonna believe it. We're watching Big Fat Liar,
Right.
and it's gonna be a big deal to my son if you walk in the room right now." Like John Bon Jovi, come on.
How cool is that?
But I was in that movie. I was in a bunch of movies.
Yeah, you've done a bunch of stuff. And so you did all the not all, but you did a lot of Olympics. You've
8 or
covered
9 of them, yeah.
That's a lot.
I still might do Rio. Did you see the water? I don't know if you can't see. Here's what Danny Vegas does. He holds the stuff up.
Yeah, you got a little bit.
That's the water in Rio. That's Tony Boldy. That's the water in Rio. It's full of shit, and basically Rio runs all its waste into the water. And I was talking the other day to a woman whose son is a rower at the Olympics, and he's going to get in there, and they've got so many health things.
Oh, right.
I can't believe they're still having the Olympics there. And by the way, they've only known about it for 10 years.
Right, exactly.
They couldn't get it cleaned up. The water in Rio has 1.7 million times the viruses that this dirty Pacific Ocean has. And this is a dirty ocean.
Oh, it is. I don't get in the ocean here.
I refuse to, right?
do
Because
too.
remember that in Santa Monica, you get in, you get a big stripe up your arm
Right.
or back,
Yep.
But Rio's a mess, and now the jails, they're putting people in jail. The government's resigned. They don't have money. The venues aren't done. But I'll tell you, it'll be fine. They'll get it done. But it will be, and in all the honesty now that we have to have during the Olympics,
Right.
we used to just lie. Now they have to address these subjects.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
So poor Bob Costas got to sit there and do this. But it's the Olympics frames your career.
Right.
I framed my career by having Tony Boldy on today.
Look at that.
I love him, and we'll get to the
I'll look
mayor
at
of
that.
Hollywood in a minute.
All right.
Back in a second.
Thanks for watching.